Hi, this is Paul, and this is Rough Draft for Sunday, where I run through the current version of my Sunday sermon. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John. Even though he called Peter Satan, he obviously didn't kick him out of the club of the disciples. Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led up to a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Now, a lot of church fathers make a lot of the fact of, well, his clothes are glowing too. In other words, it's not just his skin or his flesh. This has seemed to rub off on his garments. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. But then we have this big question, well, what on earth does this mean? He brings them up to the top of a mountain. He's joined by Moses and Elijah. We're given no understanding how anyone would identify them as Moses and Elijah. And he's transfigured, he's transformed, and his face shines like the sun. Now, if you've ever tried to stare at the sun, you notice that you can't. You turn your face away, and as we'll see in a minute, when this happens all of a sudden, as it happens fairly often in Scripture, everybody sort of loses their stuff. Peter, of course, always to lead with his lip before he follows with his brain, says, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, Moses, and one for Elijah." Are these 3 veils that you're going to try and turn down the wattage a little bit? While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my son whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." This is the second time God has spoken from heaven with an experience of Jesus. The first time was the baptism. When the disciples heard this, now keep in mind, this is all about light. When it comes to Jesus' crucifixion, it's all going to be about darkness. When the disciples heard this from the sky, they fell face down to the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. "Get up," he said. "Don't be afraid." When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. Now, you see this again and again in the Bible. You find this with Abraham in Genesis. We were just reading that with the men's group the other night. The consistent image is when we are given a peek into the realm of God, we are terrified and undone. Now, pay attention to the fact that Jesus' face shone like the sun. And again, you can't look at the sun. It's shining too brightly. And if you look at the sun, you can't see anything else. And it hurts your eyes. And if you stare into the sun long enough, it's rather a remarkable thing. You will hurt your eyes and you can go blind. If you had the ability to endure the pain involved of staring at the sun, well, it can damage you. Part of the message is that Jesus, in that moment, was transmitting a beauty and a brilliance that can crush and kill, something we don't think about very often.